Hi, everybody. It is that time. It is the time to talk about playing big and ask me questions. So we've had some questions asked because of the show I did last week about being in a funk. And as I was getting ready this morning, I have this really big gig this weekend in Las Vegas. I'm really looking forward to going, but I have a tickle in my throat. And it's like, okay, Power, how do you show up? And so I thought, well, this is a good topic because sometimes, you're just not 100%, but you have to find a way to rev up your engines to get you to the point where you show up at 110%. You may not feel 110%, but you show up because you know the group. And so, in fact, we just had a client leave and we were talking about, and she says, oh, I'm so much better when I get taped live as opposed to doing a videotape. And a lot of that is your environment. Okay. When I'm a speaker, I fed energy from the audience. In fact, I usually pick out 2 or 3 people that are responsive to what I'm saying. And I remember where they are. And it's like I go back to them because it feeds me more energy. Before I get on stage, I have quiet time. And that quiet time is to focus my energy on what my desired outcome is. That quiet time is when I say the prayer of Jabez. I've shared that with you before, that 4-line prayer that somebody gave me that book when I lost my son. Meant the world to me. The prayer of Jabez says, dear God, please bless me indeed. Right? Enlarge my territory, meaning give me more than I can handle. Let your hand be with me, meaning I'm your messenger. Allow me to say what you want me to share. That I may not be harmed or cause harm, meaning making sure that it's only positive messaging. And that prayer of Jabez I do every day, before every interview, before this broadcast, before every stage appearance. I'm basically giving myself up to a greater power to deliver to me what I need to say. And so even today, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, right? Because I need to pour in a little extra energy because I'm not feeling 100%. There's a little tickle on my throat. In fact, you can probably hear my voice is a little lower than it normally is because of it. And of course, I'm like a little nervous because I've got this big event in Vegas, and I want to make sure I don't get any worse because I've got lots of energy that I have to have and share when I'm on stage in front of 1,500 people. I want to make sure that I fill the room with my love, fill the room with my messaging, fill the room that every individual in that room feels that I'm speaking to them one-on-one. And so much of that has to do with your energy. And so a lot of people, it's very common for people to say, I don't have, it's hard to do camera work because you don't have the people in the room. And sometimes it's easier to just use that as an excuse, but take it as a challenge. I used to put a picture of an audience underneath the camera, or I'd look into the camera and know that I'm looking at somebody's eyes. But it's harder. It's harder when you don't have that energetic feedback from people watching you in the room. The other thing is to have a couple people there while you're doing the video. They're your audience. They're going to help you going and keep you going and keep you moving in the right direction. And so how do you show up? Not all of us can be 100% all the time. But getting that energy, Tony Robbins, all right, backstage with him, he brings the small, I don't know if he still does it, but one of those small trampolines, and he bounces on that for a long time to get his energy at such a high level that he just exudes it in the room. And so, Precious, Kim, I'm so wonderful you guys are here. So many of you, oh gosh, a lot of you from all over the place. I have to physically and mentally challenge myself to bring in the energy. So people say to me, somebody will say, well, Sharon, you're so different on stage. And that upsets me because I don't want to be different on stage. I want to be me. And then other people say, oh no, she's not different. She's just, she just brings in more power. And that's because whether I'm speaking to 5 or to 500, 5,000, my ability to impact them is related to how I show up. So no matter what you're doing, how are you showing up? I know I have an incredible son, Philip. Many of you may know him, and he's 6'6". And so he wants to just sit down at a conference table and like, he's so long, he's got to like stretch out. And it took me a long time I say, that totally makes sense based on your length. But if you want to be present, you want to be eager to hear what's being said, then you sit on the edge of your seat and you make eye contact with the people around you. That brings that energy into the space. You think of yourself when you're like sitting back, you're kind of, the energy is kind of bouncing off your chest. It's not getting to you. You need to put your head in the game and bring the energy to the table. And those days like today, when I'm not 100% in talking to you, I'm bringing energy from somewhere that's stored because I want to make sure I say something that's going to support you and what you're doing. I don't want you to say, oh, she wasn't really with it today. I am with it, and I'm finding wherever I can to make sure I get the energy to show up, to share with you the things that I'm going through. That's what this is all about. These are the things that I'm going through that hopefully allow you to relate with me and know that this is okay when it happens to you. Whether it be a lack of energy, whether it be a different audience, because for instance, speaking to you on screen is different than when I'm on a stage, because when I'm on a stage, I have all that space in my body language. Right now, you have just my face and the few small hand expressions that I can use to communicate and to get points across to you. But you assess every situation that you go into and say, how am I going to show up? So for instance, if you're going into a meeting room and the person you're meeting with is very quiet and laid back, you don't want to come out like a steamroller because they're going to go, whoa, mama. Part of that is having that reflective energy, knowing who you're dealing with and being able to meet them at the same decibel level, right? Same thing on radio or TV. When I'm being interviewed, if I'm on radio with somebody that's crazy and all over the place, and I need to hype up my energy so that we are speaking on the same level. Likewise, if I'm on a radio interview with somebody that's got a southern drawl and they're just slow in their conversation, I'm going to make sure my tenor, my energy matches theirs. If I have an important negotiation, I want to find out more about who that person is and how they project themselves, and it's going to impact how I communicate with them. If you think back, you can probably think of somebody that just came on too strong, right? They weren't taking into consideration who you were and what you wanted. They weren't looking for that reflective energy. And so if I can share that with you today, that's a huge issue, and it's benefited me in my negotiation so many times over my career, both from a standpoint of one-on-one communication and understanding how they communicate and matching that. There's nothing wrong with that, because what you're doing is you're stepping into their world. So you need to step into their environment, not assault them. But also from stage is being able to bring your energy level to the point where the people in the room want to sit on the edge of their seat. They want to engage. They want to feel that connection. When I do my media training, I talk about, looking from one corner to the other to the back, and then finding those individuals in the room that are there that are responsive. You can see it in their head doing this, or they're smiling. They're really engaged in what you're saying. Use them as your spotters, right? Keep looking at them and soak up their energy that helps you keep moving forward and keep creating that high level of engagement with your audience. And as I started this broadcast, my voice is a little low. We're doing a free webinar in about an hour, less than an hour. Angela can put the information in there. And so one of the things that I have to do is I'm going to get off of this broadcast because I need to go rest my voice, soothe it a little bit, a little hot tea, so that when I come back at noon, I have that high level of energy so that I can be as impactful as possible to the people that are investing their time in me. And so challenge yourself to ask about it. How do you show up? Your energy level. How can you use reflective energy to create a stronger success track? How can you use your own energy and to heighten your well-being when you're presenting to other people? Well, in the reserves, like I am doing today, because of the fact that I'm not feeling that great, but I am finding the energy to be able to communicate at the highest energy possible, to share my thoughts and to support you in determining how you show up. How are you going to show up? And how are you going to be most impactful in your negotiations, in your presentations, in your communications in life? So thank you so much. And I thank you. Ask us questions, send me questions. I'm here to support you any way I can. And I love you all. So make sure we are here. Info at Sharon Lechter. Tomorrow I'll be doing the Play Big Movement and my Facebook page, Play Big Movement with Sharon Lechter. Please join us and make sure you have a fabulous day, because you are fabulous.